At the dawn of the 10th millennium BCE, a group of migrants settled in the Nile Valley. They were to be known throughout the world. They were destined to be great. They would create massive pyramids. They would pioneer irrigation. They would trade to the farthest reaches of the known world. They would create amazing technologies, such as boats for navigating the Nile, as well as bronze and iron metallurgy. They would develop a complex religion, and do so much more for their time. They are the Egyptians, and this is their story. Ancient Egypt was a land situated by the Nile River. In fact, it was described by the Greek historian Herodotus as the gift of the Nile. Thanks to the fertile soil of the Nile's banks, agriculture thrived in Egypt. The origins of ancient Egypt lie as early as the 10th millennium BCE, when migrants from Ethiopia introduced the practice of collecting wild grains to the Nile River Valley. As a result of the desertification of the Sahara, Sudanic cultivators moved into the Nile River Valley during the 5th millennium BCE, where they introduced agriculture and created a prosperous and productive society. By the late 4th millennium BCE, a distinctive Egyptian society began to take shape by the Nile. Abundant harvests allowed the Egyptians to organize formal states, support specialized labor, and develop distinctive cultural traditions. The Egyptians became part of a much larger world of interacting societies as they began to trade with Mesopotamians, Phoenicians, and their African neighbors. As the population of Egypt increased, the Egyptians developed a more complex society that required more sophisticated means of producing agriculture. They built dikes to protect their fields from floods, catchment basins to store water, as well as a more complex irrigation network. Egypt was disunited until 3100 BCE, when Menes unified the region. He would create a capital of Memphis, as well as a strongly centralized society where the pharaoh held absolute power and was considered divine. By 2660 BCE, the Old Kingdom was established. During this time, interactions with other societies increased, and many pyramids were built. The pyramids were a testament to Egypt's power as well as the Egyptian belief in the afterlife. The Old Kingdom declined when regional powers became powerful and disregarded the pharaoh. Pharaonic authority reappeared in the Middle Kingdom, which was established in 2040 BCE. Horse-riding nomads, the Hyksos, would soon attack the Middle Kingdom. The Hyksos would force the Egyptians to adopt horses, chariots, and bronze weapons in order to counter them. By 1550 BCE, the Egyptians drove out the Hyksos and established the New Kingdom.
During the New Kingdom, pharaohs worked to extend their rule beyond the Nile Valley. Throughout the New Kingdom, there were less pyramids but more temples, palaces, and monumental statues. Important pharaohs during this time were Thutmose III, who reigned from 1479 to 1475 BCE, Queen Hatshepsut, on the other hand, who reigned from 1473 to 1458 BCE, and was one of the few influential women rulers. With many complex societies, there are many conflicts between other civilizations. During the 10th century, the Egyptians had several conflicts with Nubians, who later organized a new kingdom of Kush, with the capital at Napata. Also, at the mid-7th century, Assyrians invaded Egypt and established it under their rule. Egypt, as well as other societies, all have distinct social classes. In Egypt, it was a very patriarchal society since men dominated the households and were in charge of decisions of public affairs and government policies, while women, on the other hand, took care of the household and few were rulers, scribes, and priestesses. The types of social classes there were peasants and slaves, who provided harsh labors, pharaohs who were supreme rulers, priests, priestesses, merchants, government officials, and craftsmen. New technology and trade were two big factors in expanding Egypt. In Egypt, bronze metallurgy greatly influenced military and agricultural production. Boats were also key inventions that were used to travel the Nile and transport goods.
The Egyptians also developed a system of writing known as hieroglyphics, or holy inscriptions.
The Egyptians originally worshipped two principal gods, Amun and Re. The Egyptians later honored them in a combined cult called Amun-Re, but the cult of Amun-Re faced monotheistic challenges from the god Aten. Because of the belief in an afterlife, the Egyptians developed the cult of Osiris. He was the god of the underworld, and decided who could or could not gain immortality.
Because of their beliefs, the Egyptians mummified dead people so that they can go to the afterlife.